welcome back to another episode of the Dream Big series, prep series. This will be episode number 5. If you haven't already, go back and watch episode number 4, which is our leg session that we did. So gives you a bit of an insight into my current leg session and what will be the leg session taking me through this year's prep. Today's video, what I thought I'd want to touch on is obviously I don't want to start posting or putting out content towards training and just sending you through training vlogs and stuff without you really knowing about the split that I'm on. So I wanted to take a bit of time today and talk you through my current training split and what goes into each session, because I think that's quite an informative subject for people to listen to. What I'm actually training, what body parts I'm training, how frequently, etc. Because a lot of, I know from experience it's quite hard to write down a session for yourself if you're not being coached. I've gone through many myself, trying to work out what the best split is for me and what works. So there's a lot, when you're coming up, there's a lot of trial and error, and just working out what works and what doesn't. I think it's very, obviously I'm not saying listen to mine today and then literally just go and copy it, because it's going to be pretty different for everyone else. Your training split should be completely different to someone else, because you're going to have to be working on different areas. You want other areas to come up. You might have stronger body parts than other people. So every training split, I think, for someone should be specific and should be towards your needs and what you need to get out of it. So this is just my training split. This is what we're doing. I'm going to go through what areas we're trying to bring up this year. I think this will be my prepped training split. So this will take us up to about November, December. And yeah, so I'm going to get straight into it. I don't want to talk for too much because I know I can waffle on a bit and just chat wham. So we'll get straight into it. I've got my logbook here. So this is what I use and have done for years, of tracking numbers, making sure when we were pushing way up, making sure we're progressing, making sure weights are going up, making sure that I'm sticking to the plan, and I'm seeing some sort of gradual incline in strength across the board. So we use a logbook to do that. If you don't use logbook, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to use one. I just like to track things, and I think it serves me a good purpose. And I like tracking, so I like seeing some sort of progression in my training, and the logbook helps with that. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to read through kind of what Monday is, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and so forth. So this is how I program my logbook, if you can see that. So on here I have all my exercises. So on here I have all my exercises all the way down, and then what sets I need to hit for each exercise, top set, back off set. Sometimes it's like one top set, one back off, or two tops, one back off. And then on the other side here, I have all my numbers that I'm hitting. So these will be top sets. So for example, pec deck 160 here. You can see, I'm trying to read upside down, but 160 for 8, I think it is. And then back off is whatever that says. But that's kind of how I work things out. And that's just being across the board. So we'll start with Monday, chest and arms. So my last Monday session was push, which was chest dominant. So we're kind of just focusing on chest, because obviously we want to kind of try and bring that up and have a session for it by itself. We don't have any shoulder movements in this session. So we're not really doing a push session. It's literally just chest, biceps and triceps. So reading through, we got 1, 2, 3 chest movements. So starting with the pec deck, going into which is kind of like a pre-exhaust, then going into an incline press. So we got our incline press after our pec deck. Kind of because we're in prep now, we're not really focusing a lot on strength and compound work. Obviously compound work is still in there, but We are trying to fatigue the chest a bit before we go into it, so we don't have to use that much load on our compounds instead of going in fresh with it being first exercise. And then, you know, you've got all the energy in the world to be doing your compounds there. We're not trying to push strength at all. We're not really trying to add tissue, so there's no reason for us to really try and build up some sort of strength every single week. So we go into a cable chest press, again, just another press variation, and then into our tricep movement, so a machine dip, which is really good. Then into a high cable curl, so our first bicep movement, an over shoulder tricep extension, which is like fixed on a cable, and you got like using the cuff on your wrist, it's coming behind your head, extended up like that, and then into a single arm dumbbell hammer curl, and that's chest and arms boxed off. So kind of one compound in there for chest, and then the rest accessories. I'm still trying to progress some accessories really, because I can, and we'll just keep that ticking over. Tuesday is now posterior. Again, posterior was a really big day for me, back when we were pushing weight up, because we had RDLs in there. I think we had glute drive in there at some point. Now it's kind of a back session with 2 hamstring movements at the bottom, so I'll just read through this session. So starting with a pullover, that's the Cybex pullover machine. Then into a Nautilus compound row, so it's like a seated row single arm, which is really good. A T-bar row, basically focused on lats. So you've got your on a normal standard T-bar row, you've kind of got your normal handles, which you'll use for upper back, which are pretty much just the straight ones, and then you got ones that angle off on the same bar that you can use for lats, to target lats more. So we'll do that. Then into an upper back D handle row, which is on the cables, so you're using chest supported, and coming from taking the cables down from the bottom and bringing them up towards upper back, using it as like that's a really good movement actually. Hits the upper back very, very nicely. Then into a machine reverse fly, so reverse pec deck basically, just to hit rear delts. And then our 2 hamstring movements for posterior. So we've got a seated leg curl, and then a 1 set on high stance leg press. So all these sets on here is pretty much, as I'm just glancing over it now, it's pretty much 1 top set and 1 back off set. So yeah, that's pretty much standardized through the whole session. Machine Pec Fly, so reverse pec deck is 3 sets of 8 to 12. And then obviously 1 set, just 1 set all out on the high stance leg press, because we are targeting hamstrings again in our leg session on Friday. But posterior is something we're trying to bring up, and we're trying to make it a strong point of mine, and trying to get some density in there. So, you know, doing hamstrings twice a week is going to do that. And adding a posterior session in means we're doing back twice a week as well. Then we rest on Wednesday, and then back in on Thursday for delts and triceps. So this is kind of like a more specified training split, I'd say. Before, when we were pushing weight up and in the off season, if you want to call it, it was more push-pull legs, posterior. That's what we ran for that session, and now it's kind of more specific because we're in prep. We're trying to bring up certain areas. We're trying to, you know, look at my shape before we started prep and go, right, we need to bring up that, we need to bring up this, let's put it into a session. This is kind of what I'm just thinking Luke did, because Luke's my coach, when looking at me and trying to work out what training split I should be doing. Just trying to bring up areas that need bringing up and what is weak, and just trying to make the proportions of the body symmetrical. So we don't want legs looking bigger than the upper body. We don't want things overpowering different things. So that's what we're trying to do with this. So delts and tries, I'll read over this quickly. A seated machine lateral raise. So again, kind of chest supported, leaning into the machine. And there's two bars that hang down. It's kind of like a strict lateral raise. They're really good. A plate loaded shoulder press. So we've got a neutral grip on this. So we're kind of coming from this position and pressing up, instead of using the grips like that, because my wrists cannot really go that far back and it's just a bit uncomfortable. So nice and easy using a neutral grip on that. Incline hammer strength press. So kind of just, I'm actually changing that to the Atlantis incline press, plate loaded. That's really good. Used it when I was down in FLF, the Frontline Performance Centre in Manchester. That was really good. Really enjoyed that one. So that's going in next week because it actually got delivered this week, I think a few days ago at Elite. So we'll be using that. Then into an incline cuffed lateral raise. So using like an incline bench, having the cables down in front of you on the cables with 2 cuffs on, and then coming out using a lateral raise, trying to make it like a W or a Y with your arms when you finish. Then into 3 tricep movements. So we're really trying to batter triceps at the moment. As you've seen, we've got triceps on our chest and arms session and now on our delts and tri session. So again, a bit of a weakness for me. I have good triceps on like a side tricep shot. They're fine. It's just when I go up to do a front double, they don't hang as much as I want them to. Obviously that's going to come with time and just adding more tissue, but we're trying to nail them now in the next months ahead to try and bring them up a bit. So that's our first. We got long rope push down, so we're using a long rope for that so we can fully extend the tricep. Then into an overhead cuff extension, so kind of like what we were doing on chest, but we're doing it seated this time. Again, overhead, and then a crossbody push down, so standing sideways to the cable machine and bringing the cable down in front of you this way and extending at the end. Then into Friday, which is our leg session. So our legs, we used to train legs on Tuesday, so a bit of a switch up on legs. Apologies about if you can hear this chair. I'm still not very light, so this chair is just making an awful racket. So legs, really good leg session this one. I really enjoy it. Starting with calves. So again, calves is a bit of a weakness of mine. They're just, as a lot of people know, they're very stubborn and can be quite difficult to grow if you don't train them hard enough. I believe they need to be trained hard, trying multiple times a week really. Mine are only in on our leg session and it seems to be working, but we do have 2 movements for calves. So we start with a seated calf raise and then into a toe press, which is on the leg press, doing basically calf raises on that. Then into a hamstring curl, so a lying hamstring curl this time instead of on our posterior where it was seated. Then into leg extension, so another accessory there. And those 2 are kind of like our warm-ups for our compound work. So we have 2 accessories, hamstring, quad, and then into hack squat, which is our main compound, alongside with the pivot leg press, which is the Cybex pivot leg press. Again, quite a low close stance to try and hit quads there. We're not going for hamstrings there at all, just trying to hit quads. So that's that. And then to finish, really, we've got adductors, which used to be at the beginning of my program when we were pushing weight up, but with the adductors then we were having to use a gym pin and load on top of the stack with about 4 or 5 plates to actually get a decent set out, and I think I was doing that for 12 to 15. But that's only because it was our first movement, so you're dead fresh, haven't even touched the weight, and you're going into your first movement, which obviously you're going to prioritize and be hitting some big numbers on because you're fresh. So that's now dropped right down to the end of the session, and I'm now doing a top set there of 2 plates added on for a set of 15. So, you know, taking off about 320 plates to be able to get a good top set of there, just because legs are battered by what we've just done previously. And we can just take some load off that and kind of start again with a bit of progression. And then to finish, we've got a sled push. These are very, I believe, underrated. I think they're underrated just because of how much quad activation you get from them. And there's no load on the joints or tendons at all. So unlike the hack squat and stuff where there's quite a lot of stress on joints and stuff, you got the sled push there just to finish quads off. They're already in a pump state, they're already full of blood, and you're just gonna pump them through. We do like 2 lengths of the AstroTurf on that, and that finishes off the legs. That's Friday, and then our last session of the week is pull, so back and biceps pretty much. Starting with a long rope pull over, sorry. So standing away from the cable and doing like pullovers with a long cable, just to kind of warm the lats up before we go into our main compounds and heavy work. A single arm nitro pull down, which is our second movement in. That's really good. That's a pin loaded machine, not the plate loaded one. The plate loaded, I felt when we were using it, again, it was giving a lot of stress to joints and tendons, so we took it out and used the pin loaded instead. And I think it's actually better than the plate loaded because of the way it's set up and the way the arms are set up, which literally goes straight down towards the lats, and requires you to just stay still and stay tight. As long as you bring your arm down, you're hitting the lats, so it really targets the lats very well. Going into a cable seated row, single arm on next one, so third exercise in. Then into a T-bar row, but upper back this time. So instead of our lats one, we're doing upper back, and then a prime rear delt row. So we got a new piece of prime kit in, which is the kind of the chest supported seated row. Hitting rear delts on that, so keeping elbows quite high and coming out like that, if you can see, like that. All these movements are pretty much on my Instagram, so if anyone wants to go over and check these out, they'll be on there. Henry.Taylor. And then dual D-handle curl, so into 2 bicep movements now. So standing away from the cables, making sure elbows are tucked back and kind of you're using just biceps on this, trying to take all the shoulder out of it, so no swinging and stuff, and literally just contracting there. And then a cable preacher curl, really enjoy these. So bring the preacher curl over to the cables, having a D handle set low on the cables, and then doing a normal single arm preacher curl on that. They're really good. And then last movement for biceps is a sled pull. So we got the sled set up down the AstroTurf. We sit back with a rope, one rope, and we're kind of just grabbing, pulling with the biceps in, and other arm. So we're sitting down on the floor with that one, and just trying to use biceps and no back. So that is it. How long did that? So 17 minutes to describe my training split. Yeah, that's a training split done. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm getting a lot from it. I think areas are actually coming up nicely. It's either that, I am getting leaner though. I'm currently sitting at about 115, 116 kilo. So we've come down a lot. We dropped about 2 kilo this week, just under 2 kilo this week. So a nice little drop, and we're going to continue to try and do that, at least 1 kilo a week, for the next few weeks. And yeah, I'm in a good place. I'm really enjoying it. Cardio's in. So we got cardio, if I didn't mention on the other videos, 2 cardio sessions on rest days. Sorry, no, I'll start that again. Cardio sessions, 5 days a week. 2 of those are on rest days, so 45 minutes on rest day fasted, and then the other 3 are on my upper body days, on training days. I do that post-workout, so straight after my session I'll go upstairs onto the treadmill and get 25 minutes in on there. All my cardio sessions, I bring the heart rate up to like 120 plus and do the 25 minutes or 45 minutes, which is the rest day. So food staying the same this week. Training days I'm on about 3.9, and then rest days I'm on 3.3. So big drop in calories. When we were pushing weight and trying to pack on size, rest days were at about 6,000. Training days were about 5.5, I think, or a bit below, maybe just 5. I think they were 5.2, but still quite a severe drop in calories. My energy, I've felt it definitely the past week or 2. Just while weight's been dropping, I've definitely felt the energy dipping a bit, just because calories, and I'm obviously in a deficit and doing more. Steps on about 10 steps are 10k at the moment, so again, more steps than I'm used to. And yeah, I'm enjoying the process. Very excited to continue to see changes in the physique, as we do pretty much each week at the moment. It's pretty mad what I was saying to Luke this morning, actually, after cardio, I was saying it's crazy how much food, literally just food, changes in food and walking on a treadmill, how much of an impact that does on a body. And it's beyond simple. It's quite hard to understand how it does it, but it does. I think people just overcomplicate trying to lose weight or drop fat. It's if you've got your things ticked off and you stick to a plan and you're happy to do that, it's very, very easy to do it. And it's just mad how the body works, because I've never been through this process before, being in a like a proper deficit and following steps and cardio and training and changes in food and stuff. I've never really gone through a whole process of this, so I've never ever been this lean really since I was probably a young teen, when I used to play rugby and stuff. So to see changes and veins coming out, different lines, it's mad. It's crazy to me. I've always been in a surplus and trying to pack on as much size as I can. So I'm sure I'll keep you updated on all that. But I just wanted to cover my training split just before I get some more training footage out. There's just a baseline of what is actually going on, what I'm doing currently, and gives you a bit of insight of how things are programmed for my first prep into a show. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. 21 minutes. That's not bad. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was quite informative. Hope you learned something from it, took some away, maybe use some of those exercises in your program. This training plan was all done by Luke from Elite, so credit goes to him. I didn't actually design this program, but it's really good. Really enjoyed it. And obviously keep you up to date if any changes are made or anything's added or taken away. And stay tuned for the next one. So yeah, episode 5. This is. I'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.